In our last video, we discovered that the Bible predicted specific dates. 1798 marked the time of the end, where knowledge of the Word of God would be increased, and 1843 marked the date when the blessed would appear, and based on Revelation 12:17, this group would have the covenant or the commandments and would also have the gift of prophecy. This group also cometh to that time and then waiteth. So as we continue to search for God's true fold, the Bible gives us some more clues. This we glean from the book of Joel, the book of Revelation, and the book of Matthew. In the book of Matthew, we encounter the following. It reads, "Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven." This tribulation or persecution is in relation to the 1260 days or years of papal persecution, and Christ says, immediately after those days shall these events take place. The book of Revelation reads, "And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth." The book of Joel reads, "And it shall come to pass afterward, that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see vision, and also upon your servant and upon your handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit." But when would these things begin? Joel explains, "And I will shew wonders in heaven and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood." So Joel explains that the pouring out of God's Spirit would take place after these signs or these events. Again, in the book of Joel, he speaks of the pouring out of the gift of prophecy, but after the sun turns to darkness and the moon into blood. Revelation speaks of an earthquake, the sun turning black, the moon like blood, and the falling of the stars from heaven. And also Matthew, Christ says that after the 1260 years of papal persecution, immediately shall the sun turn to darkness, and the moon not give a light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. So therefore we can conclude that after these prophetic events, it leads us to the time when God's Spirit will be poured out, or the gift of prophecy will be given to God's fold. As we look into history, we can trace these events, with the first event being the Lisbon earthquake of 1755. The effects of this earthquake were far-reaching, with the Caribbean being impacted by its tsunamis and tremors being felt throughout Europe and even Africa. The second event was the dark day of May 19th, 1780, where the sun became dark as pitch, and the moon also became like blood. But based on the word of Christ, shouldn't this event take place immediately after the tribulation or persecution, which ended in 1798? Again, history tells us of the Jesuit order, and that in 1773, Pope Clement XIV dissolved this order. This brought an end to persecution, and for this he would be assassinated 1 year later. So, historically, 1773 marks the date when persecution ceased. Therefore, the dark days of 1780 would take place immediately after the tribulation. The last of these signs, being the falling of the stars, are analoged in American history, and the Times report of the day America thought the world would end. and this event took place in November 12th, 1833. So based on history and the Bible, God would manifest or pour out His Spirit or give the gift of prophecy after 1833. And from our last video, we learned that each time God seeks to establish a people, He gives them His covenant or His law and the gift of prophecy. Hence, with this evidence, we are able to fine-tune our search for the people that have the prophetic gift and the covenant of God. In our last video, we learned that we will see a people that are described as blessed, and this event would take place in 1843. But why are they blessed? And what does it mean for these blessed to wait and commit to this prophetic period? The Bible speaks of the blessed as follows. Isaiah says, "For the Lord is a God of judgment. Blessed is all they that wait for Him." James says, "But whosoever looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continue therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed." And again Revelation says, "Blessed are they that do His commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life." So based on the Bible, those that wait on God's judgment and those that keep His law are blessed. So based on the information that we have, we can conclude that after 1833, there would be a manifestation of the prophetic gift, and this manifestation leads up to a group of people in the year 1843 that God considers to be blessed. During this time frame, history would point to 4 people who were prolific individuals who claimed to have the prophetic gift. These individuals are as follows: Helena Blavatsky, Joseph Smith, William Foy, and William Miller. So based on the information given by the Bible, we can begin our process of elimination, beginning with Blavatsky, for she was a known occultist. Therefore, she must be eliminated. Now we go to Joseph Smith, for his claim was that he received visions and he was a believer in the Bible. But he, Smith, had over 40 wives, and by this omission, a polygamous relationship cannot be blessed by God, for it is against His law. Therefore, Joseph Smith must be eliminated. Now we come to William Miller and William Foy, both Baptists. Both had visions, though Miller's vision would only be recorded in 1855. Foy would have received 2 public visions, which his first was recorded in 1842. And it was Miller who would have rocked America, etching his name in its history in the year 1843. The Yale University Library speaks the following of Miller. It reads, "Between 1831 and 1844, William Miller, a Baptist preacher and former Army captain of the War of 1812, launched the Great Second Advent Awakening. Based on his study of the prophecies of the book of Daniel 8:14, Miller calculated that Jesus would return to the earth on October 22nd, 1844. When he, Jesus, did not appear, Miller's followers experienced what is now called the Great Disappointment. Most of the thousands who had joined the movement left it in deep disillusionment, including George Rapp of the Harmony and many Shakers. So based on Miller's study of Daniel 8:14, he saw that the expiration date of the 2300 day or year prophecy would not expire in the year 1843, but a true expiration would be 1844. So though Miller came to the 1843 as stated in Daniel 12:12, he had to wait another year for the appearance of his Lord. This appearance never happened. Was God a liar? Was the Bible wrong? Or did the fault lie with men? But one thing is sure, that this event was a great disappointment and a bittersweet experience for these followers. But it will be the 23rd of October, 1844, the day after the great disappointment, that something remarkable will happen to this man, and his name is Hiram Edson.